Do
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Your Next Business Bestie. My name is Jen Borhart, and I'm your host. This week, I have a very special guest, my friend Amanda. Hey, Amanda, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. We just realized, well, I realized that we have not talked face to face since the end of September when Amanda left Colorado. But before that, we literally saw each other every week and we talked pretty much every day. So we had to hit record on this podcast episode before we used the entire hour just to catch up. But Amanda, why don't you tell everybody what it is that you do?
Hey, so I'm Amanda. I am the owner of the Bold Alchemist Creative Studio. So I focus on holistic experiences through branding design, web design, and I also am intertwining energetic readings, which I have done for 10 years. And I've also been doing design for probably 8 years at this rate. I don't even know. I've lost track. So I focus and specialize in holistic women-owned businesses, wellness businesses, and all that sort.
So Amanda and I actually met, I think it was New Year's going into, it was right before you did yoga teacher training. So
Was that 2023?
23, because that's when we
That
met
had to be
Elisa. Yes. Uh,
2023.
so our friend Liz and I went to this special New Year's event, and that's when we met Amanda. That's when we met Elisa, who I'm hoping to have on the podcast. But it wasn't really until April-ish of 2024 that you and I really got to know each other because you started your business. And
Mhm.
before I get ahead of myself too much, what were you doing before? I mean, you've been doing graphics and energy work and everything for so long. But do you want to talk a little bit about what led to you actually starting your business in 2024?
Oh goodness, I feel like that could be a long story. I mean, what I was doing before, I was working at Alaska Airlines as a UI designer under contract, and my primary role for the past like couple of years has been UI, UX design, focused on web applications and web design, which was awesome. I felt like I learned so much about accessibility, about platforms, and all that good stuff. But what really kind of kicked it off is that, life happens and contracts
Yeah.
end suddenly. And I immediately started trying to look for jobs, and I just felt like that wasn't aligned. Like something just didn't feel right. I felt like my value wasn't being appreciated, especially just how the market was at the time. Even now, like I know the market is just as crazy. And I decided to try and take a chance on myself. I started following a bunch of synchronicities. I ended up in Hawaii for a month, just volunteering, just having a good time. And Jen actually helped me and pushed me to open up my social media, but that was a little bit after, and that took a lot of pushing. That took like months, I think. But
Yeah.
essentially before then, I was just trying to build something up, help somebody with their branding, and I started to really fall in love with that again. And really helping support a small business, a woman-owned business. And before I knew it, all of a sudden I was a social media manager. And all of a sudden I had a party thrown for me that's like, hey, we believe in you. You can totally start your own business. Like you can do this. And I'm like, okay, one thing led to another. And now I'm here.
It was such a cool experience when you were starting your business because I got to go back in time and it like really showcased to me that I was almost 6 years into my business, 5.5 years at that point. And I got to reflect on a lot as you were asking me for advice on starting your business. But the biggest thing that stands out, and I talk about this regularly, and I use you as an example, and you don't even know it, is people trying to take these two parts of themselves and
Mhm.
put them under one business. And you and I talked about it endlessly, your energy readings and your branding. And I
Mhm.
feel like a proud little mentor coach every time I see you combining these sides of you on your social media. Because for those of you listening, like in 2025, people care about who you are, and every part of what you do falls under that umbrella. So for me, it's everything from yoga and Oracle to my strategy calls and social media management. And I think traditional marketing, probably 15 years ago, those would have had to been separate businesses. All of it would have been different entities, and that's just not the case. So, Amanda, can you talk a little bit about what it was like, especially coming from a corporate background,
Mhm.
to combine these two? what seemed like different parts of you into this really beautiful business?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think Um, it was really difficult. I'm not gonna lie that it was like just a very raw experience, and I fully believe starting a business is probably the biggest trigger into finding out about yourself, about healing yourself, about like working through everything that it is. It just comes like crashing down because you're trying to uncover so many different aspects of yourself. How do you show up?
Yeah.
And for a long time prior, I had like Etsy businesses that were readings, and then I was doing my corporate job. And so like they were separate. And I felt like I had to wear almost like this mask. Like in my corporate world, I didn't like to show that I was like this mystical, ethereal, like I love doing this type
Yeah.
of stuff, connecting with people. Until my last job, I started to open up a little bit more about that. But essentially when it comes to like combining the two, it has been a practice of patience, and I forever will hold on to the words that you shared me where it was you're not selling a product, you're literally selling yourself, you're authentically yourself, and I stick true to that even in my own business and sharing stories. I am just fully authentic expression, and not everything has to be completely design related because at the end of the day, your business is an extension of your personal self. And when it's an extension of yourself, that means that whatever you're evolving and going through on your personal journey, your business is also going to go through. And I make sure that that's a part of like the branding journey, right?
Mm.
So I started to like at the beginning, like when we first met in that April 2024 timeframe, I was like so frustrated. I'm like, how do I put these two things together? Like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I would
Yeah.
talk to all sorts of friends, different designers, like, how do you tie them together? And then I just started to surrender to it and let it go and just see what happens when I take off my mask and I just show up completely myself, how I show up on stories. And one of my favorite places now to do like readings is just through stories. And obviously, my feed is going to be more design focused, but there's so many facets to social media that can be used, and it doesn't have to be so structured or so serious. And I think that's where I started to put in like, oh, I can still do like a reading here and there. So I started using like TikToks where I was doing more reading based stuff. Instagram
Yeah.
was filled with like posts on design, and then now I'm just starting to slowly merge it. So have I got it all figured out? No, because it's only March 20th and I'm 1 month away from approaching 1 year of my business. So, I think that it's still a process that will evolve with time.
Yeah, I can't believe it's almost been a year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been longer, but it's also gone by really fast that we were sitting at Forge every Wednesday and I would give you task items of, okay, Amanda, you are gonna do this, this, and this week. And it was so fun helping you like with those initial steps in your business. And what I have noticed is in your sharing, as you share more of your energy side, is it gives more of an authentic look into your approach to branding too, because
Yeah.
you don't have a corporate approach to marketing. You have an energetic approach to marketing and to branding. So, give us a little insight into what it's like to work with you on the branding side.
So everything that I do is a completely one-on-one custom experience. There's only so much that I can standardize because at the end of the day, my branding journey for people is an experience in itself. I want to create an experience that feels holistic, that feels evolutionary, but still fits into what's comfortable for you, like what already exists within yourself. So if you've already had a method of doing like your social media, okay, let's work with it. How can we
Mm.
improve it to make it move forward? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to provide brand guidelines and a bunch of stuff and be like, okay, here you go, and you don't know what to do with it. I'm here like every step of the way. I'm here as support and just as a friend. So every single client that I have worked for so far has in turn become a beautiful friend and a beautiful connection that has become like empowering, and it's been transformational. And so that's a big keyword is we're working with soul-led design. So when I start to incorporate more of the energetic side, I love being able to have clients that start off with like energetic readings because then I get to know them a little bit more and I can really pick up on the type of like person that they are through that and work with them. So timelines can become custom, or we start to kind of shift and be like, okay, what are your goals? and how do we get there? Like, how can we evolve where you are now and make sure that that feels good? Because nobody wants to pay so much money for a brand and then have to rebrand in like 6 months or a year. Like that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So make
Yeah.
sure that at the end of the day, your brand is you. And so when it comes down to like the branding journey, I literally like take a step by step and I'm like, okay, what embodies this person in their business and how does that show up? So I'm taking keywords, I'm taking everything that they say. We literally talk face to face. Like I will not work with a client without talking to them face to face
Hmm.
and really get to know them to the point where I can visualize and receive messages from like the universe, from spirit, and really place that onto the visual digital side of stuff. And the really cool thing about it is that when we design holistically, we offer space for improvement and for that evolution to happen. We're not closing off the box and saying, this is it, this is how you have to do stuff. Because, like I said before, when you're evolving as a personal, like you're going through your own journey and you're leveling up and you're going through your cycles, your business is going through the same thing. And so
Yes.
it's important to leave space within the branding to allow for those little bits of change that feel comfortable for where you are at today, but can be comfortable to grow into. So it's not that tight of a pot, kind of like a plant, right? Um,
Oh,
yeah, I hope I answered that.
yeah. No, there's so many pieces here. First off, the idea of like what you go through, your business is going through. And we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of my cat, Jack, passing away. And this was like the biggest moment in my life that I realized that my clients were my people because primarily Capricorn chart, I was like, I still have to get shit done. It doesn't matter that like I am falling apart inside. Couldn't even remember when I went to the kitchen what I was doing because the grief was horrible. And my clients giving me grace in that time and seeing me as a human being changed everything for me. That's when I started saying no to the clients that didn't align. And I think what you're saying is such an important part as solopreneurs, especially. Like, you can't separate the two. Like, these two things are on the same journey together, functioning in different parts.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
curious. So, if you did energy readings for potential branding clients, does the way you approach those clients change based on what you read from, let's say, like their human design? Like, would you approach, I'm a reflector, so would you approach branding with a reflector different than a manifesting generator?
100%. 100%. Whether it's a reflector, projector, I've had a couple clients in that way. And that's where I'm adjusting the timelines because they have different nervous system regulations. And with that being
Yes.
said, it's like they don't want something to be complete in such a quick time frame. There's so many designers out there that do beautiful work in like 3 days. But usually those type of people like reflectors and projectors need to take time to really
Mhm.
process um what they're seeing and what they're feeling. And they can't do that just through gut feelings like a manifesting generator or a generator can do. So usually like I'm a generator. So if I see something, I know immediately like I love this or I don't love this. And I can really
Yeah.
give feedback quickly. So usually when I'm working with like a generator or manifesting generator, things move a lot quicker. So it's almost like the
Mm.
speed at which things go, but at the same time, like giving how much space do I give to allow for their branding to develop? Because chances are with like a reflector and a projector, they need time to look at what their branding looks like and if that's where they want to go. And if I were to rush that, they're going to be unhappy at the end of the process. And that is not my goal. My goal is to really give them something that they love. And I'm willing to like reflect that. And so that's why I'm very conscious and very specific about the type of clients that I do take and that I want to have
Mm.
that strong connection because everybody's experience is going to be different. And like I said, there's so many designers out there and I personally don't necessarily believe in like a competitor analysis because like if you are truly being in your authentic expression, those right people will always come to you. And
Yes.
when they're aligned in that space, it's the same thing that you just want to connect. So you're in a co-creative process. And that's exactly what I'm doing with like branding design. It's all co-creative. It is not like, okay, I received your inquiry form and I'm going to do it. And then here you go. Here's your design. No, it's totally
Yeah.
cooked because everybody is different. Everybody has unique needs, unique abilities, unique talents, unique magic, unique powers, like, and all of that has to be shown in their branding. And custom branding deserves to be personal and deserves to be unique.
I love that approach. I am learning and exploring more how my business is different as a reflector. For those listening, reflectors were incredibly rare. I am on this journey to meet another reflector in person because, as far as I know, I've never met a reflector in person,
I
which
did do a chart with one other reflector a while back,
my
and that
people.
was insane because I was like, I finally found that other one for you.
Right? I need to meet them in person. Like I'm in a reflector group on Facebook. It's kind of lame, but so I know they exist, but I want to every time I put somebody in my little app, and I think it was when we met that I put you and Liz and Elisa in my
Yeah.
human design app to figure out what you guys were, and I always get so hopeful that somebody will be a reflector. But I digress. So I am learning that I take a very different approach to even social media marketing and newsletters and my strategy sessions. I think part of the magic in my strategy sessions is that I'm a reflector. My friend Yvette was on the show and she said how I'm great at asking questions. But I think it has to do with my unique ability to take on the energy of the people that I'm talking to and dig deep into what they want. So the idea of having the flip side of that, where someone approaches working with me, because reflectors, we typically need a moon cycle to make decisions, that there's such beautiful magic in that of like really being seen as a creative entrepreneur for who I am. And like you were saying, the manifesting generator, sure, they might be able to accomplish their branding within 3, 4 days, but I need to sit on it. And if I don't, I'm gonna look back and be like, oh shit, I wish I had told Amanda XYZ.
Yeah.
Would you approach, let's say, a Leo versus an Aries differently for those that are more familiar with astrology?
Um, Not necessarily. I think it gets deeper than that. And you know this,
Hmm.
like, you go into the birth charts, and I actually start looking at like their Venus and Mars sign when it comes
Hmm.
to their social media presence or their marketing tactics, because depending on the element that it's in, you approach things differently. So, for example, my Venus is in Cancer. So naturally, I do really good with marketing tactics by being a space of safety for people and being a place of authentic expression through my words and experiences. That helps people understand how to tell their own story by listening to my story. And so that's what I kind of pick up on. And then I also have a Cancer and Mars. So I kind of, when it comes to how I'm approaching, I have to work a little bit slower and in a more in depth level. So when I do my energetic readings, I tend to dive into, numerology, birth chart, and human design because all of those in combination provide kind of the backstory of how to approach someone's branding or how to approach someone's business, whether it's through coaching, strategy, or just doing the branding and web design. Um, Either way, you can't truly just base it off of just like a sun sign. It's the same thing as if like you were reading a magazine. Like you can't, like, that's not your full horoscope. And
I
so
struggled with mine for a long time until I got into
yeah,
astrology because I was like, I mean, I love travel. But I like Sagittarius just like totally does not align for me. But when I got into my chart and there's like my Venus is in Capricorn, for instance, like I have at least 5 signs in Capricorn, and like
yeah,
that started to make all, or like my Aries moon, like that's all
mhm,
started to make a lot more sense. Um,
yeah.
before we go too far down this line, how did you get into energy readings? I don't think I even know where you started with energy readings.
So I started when I was 16 years old in high school. I am now 26, so it's been 10 years. And I actually started because of my parents who were very much into getting readings done, seeing, psychics and everything. That's just something that's a part of my family, and I absolutely adore it. And one day I don't remember, Wisconsin, Michigan, something like that. And we were walking in a shop and my mom saw a deck of cards and was like, oh, let me get this for you. And I started playing with it and I started learning it. And it was the Rider-Waite deck. This isn't the one, but it was a different deck that I had. And I started playing with it. And then before I knew it, I was just like on a field trip in high school and there was like younger girls and they wanted readings. So I started giving them readings. They're like, oh my God, that's so accurate. I was like, huh, okay. So it literally started off by doing a lot of like tarot oracle, and then I kind of
Yeah.
fell out of it until I moved to Germany and I connected with a couple friends, and I started really diving into the history of tarot and understanding the energetic archetypes of, the major arcana and stuff like that. And then I just started going deeper into the unity between the feminine and masculine duality. Started picking up books. And then I started getting into astrology, birth chart. Listen, it's literally a rabbit hole that you can go down forever. Even today, 10 years later, I'm still learning so much. But I kept doing it and I felt really connected. And that was my way to connect to my own spirituality, my own beliefs in terms of, positive thinking and understanding life cycles, life lessons, diving into numerology, diving into the birth charts, astrological charts, transits, and then getting into human design. So there's a whole lot of stuff, and it can be its own
Yeah.
long story. But when it came to my energetic readings, and the reason I started doing like these monthly offerings and just offerings for them is that I started an Etsy shop just doing card pulls for people. And people kept coming back. They kept coming back to me. They were like repeat clients. And then I had some of my closest friends start to ask me like, hey Amanda, like I really need a reading, do you remember this reading you did for me, this and this and this happened? And I was like, huh, okay. And I have a very specific way that I do readings when it comes to cards. And I usually receive like audio clairvoyance, so I'll get receive
Mm.
messages through sounds and audios, and then I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to write that down and now I'm going to put that down, and for some reason I'm like, I might not even understand what it means, but it connects to that person really well. So then
Yeah.
I started taking those and combining them with all the knowledge that I have with birth charts, with human design, with numerology. And I started compiling it into this compressed document, if you will, like this compressed
Hmm.
reading that specifically intertwines with where they are at in their current journey, but also helping them define um, more about themselves, understanding more about themselves. And then I started leaning into the business side of things. So it was
Yeah.
literally a domino effect, if you will. Like I could go on and on about this, but it's a long story, if you will. Either way, I kind of pretty much just ended up doing these and I love doing them because you get to understand yourself from a compressed perspective that feels good and that feels empowering, because there's just so much information out there, and if you were to tell someone about human design, they wouldn't even know where to start with it. It's so difficult. And so all of
Yeah.
that knowledge, all that learning, all those YouTube videos and books and whatever is just knowledge that I've gained over the years and started to put into the energetic readings tied with my knowledge of tarot and oracle.
I think one thing nobody's talked about on the podcast so far is numerology. So can you give listeners a little insight into what numerology is?
Yeah, yeah. So I love numerology. So numerology is essentially your birthday. It could be your name. You basically receive different soul numbers, destiny numbers. Quite literally, just like your birth chart is all numerological values. It's all math at the end of the day. It's all science. It's all math, and it's the same thing with numerology. So what numerology is it just kind of works with the different numbers based on your birthday. And the ones that I love working with the most, that I find that people feel that they resonate and can understand the most, is their personal year number. You also have a life path number, but usually the personal year number is one of the best ways to understand where you are at in your journey. And so that can be calculated through your birthday. You can even go on like Google and type in personal year number calculator and you can figure out your own. I definitely have a reel where I'm like talking about it too, where I'm like, hey, what's yours? Like, let me give you a reading on your personal year, all this type of stuff. But I love doing them because they provide an insight into understanding if your journey right now is at kind of like at an up or kind of a down, aka like if it's more loud, like it's more like more things are happening, which would be like a one
Yeah.
year. If it's a two, and even would be a little bit more quiet, like you're doing a lot more internal work, and it kind of flips and goes, and it cycles through 9 years usually. And then
Okay.
you can kind of go into it and look at your personal months, and you can look at like what months are things happening. So if it's a quiet number on like March, you might not want to make as many like decisions, and you start to pair that with certain transits, and then you kind of have an understanding of like what's to be expected. So it's almost like taking a peek at the future in a way, but like
Yeah.
a way that makes sense to you in your journey.
Yeah, I would say numerology is definitely the one I know the least about and that I've learned the most from you about specifically. We are recording this on the spring equinox, even though neither one of us realized it at first.
Yeah,
Um, so we talked about it, but would you want to pull a card for our listeners in honor of the spring equinox?
absolutely. Let's do it. So I'm using my Rider-Waite deck. I don't have my Oracle cards present at the moment because I just went through a big move, and I hope everybody's doing okay during this eclipse season because I think we're all going through physical, emotional, mental states of movement that are really intense. So
Really
I'm
intense.
gonna pull a card for the spring equinox, just what messages, but I'm also gonna pull a card on this eclipse portal. What do we need to know about it? Because we're literally in the depths of it. So, right. Okay, so this is our card. I don't know if they can see, the viewers can see it, but this
I'll
is
put
our
the
card.
details in the notes.
Perfect. So it is the Six of Cups. It is a beautiful card because it has a lot to do with our past memories. And what's super cool about this is I love that I pulled this card because I know that before we started recording, we started, chatting about like dreams and past life
Mhm.
experiences popping up. And what's beautiful is we'll see like ancestral experiences or family ties pop up, and we might lose those ties, or something might happen that makes us feel unbalanced or ungrounded. And during the spring equinox and this shift, it's knowing that you have to take care of your inner child. You have to take care of yourself and make sure that you don't don't give yourself too much shame or blame. Let yourself feel exactly what it is to feel, whatever visions and messages are coming through. If it's in line with like how you had mentioned, like pets visiting you, or
Yeah.
ancestry, like grandmas, grandmothers, grandfathers, like anybody from your lineage visiting you in your dreams. They're all there to deliver a message, and usually it's a message of safety and knowing that you are safe within yourself, and in fact the safest place you can be should be within yourself. And so it's super important to be kind to yourself during this time. And I like to see the spring equinox as a time where, like the tulips are budding, like flowers are coming out because they feel safe. Like it's starting to feel warm. It's starting, the sun is coming out a little bit more, and there's still showers there, but things are starting to bud again. And so are you, because we're tied to nature directly. And so when we have these little like past memories and these past life experiences, I truly think that they're here to offer us a vision of both transformational journey of letting go of those parts and transmuting and alchemizing them so that they can benefit our future journey, or benefit and create space for those new beginnings. And I feel like the spring equinox is a perfect time to feel a clean slate, feel a new beginning, because it's literally springtime. It's the spiritual new
Yeah.
year, and you're gonna feel that clean slate. But I will say that because of this eclipse portal, I don't think that's going to happen for a couple more weeks. And we also have the Death card in the Major Arcana, which is not a scary card for those that don't understand tarot, but it is a transformational card. It is something that is, we're moving through and we're going through the dark tunnel and into the light. And right now, we're kind of in the depths of that dark tunnel. And so everything just feels so much more closed off or so much more intense because there's lessons being coming to life. And you had mentioned that there's so many like portals that are opening in,
Yeah.
March, and the fact that there's all these retrogrades. It's really about learning to find the love and the safety within yourself. So a lot of people might be feeling a lot more anxiety right now, a lot more overthinking or slowness or delays because of Mercury and Venus in retrograde. But at the end of the day, knowing that you're on this transformational journey is the positive light. So it's about shifting our perspectives and knowing that through this complexity, there isn't necessarily a negative to any of this. Even if something becomes lost or something hurts or you're going through these intense emotions, it's all a part of the alchemical experience of moving forward in your journey. And I think
Mm,
that is absolutely precious. Um, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, March has been so intense for so many people. I shared with Amanda, like I had a super vivid, crazy dream where both of I've always had a white cat since I was 6 years old, and both of them that have passed came to me, and the older of the two has never come to me in a dream before. So I was talking to my friend who's an animal communicator, and we were deep diving, but I've heard from so many people that they're having like really, really intense dreams. It definitely elevated anxiety and just a lot of shit coming out for a lot of people right now. All right, shifting gears again. How can people work with you? I mean, I guess it's not really shifting gears because energy readings or branding, how can people explain to us the process of working with you and how they can,
So I know I explained the process a little bit in terms of
yeah.
branding, but I offer so many different modalities because at the end of the day, I'm here as a human and I'm here as a support vessel for anybody that's going through and trying to develop their own small business, just like you were for me, you know. And I offer branding coaching sessions for people as well as web audits using my user experience, user interface experience from the past. And so sometimes I will have people that just start off in their small business and they think they need all the branding and they need all the websites. And usually they don't. They might not need it. And so I'm here to kind of help guide you. And I love being able to communicate one on one with people to understand what it is that they need and offer like those little custom experiences. So sometimes that can be like a coaching session and helping them find consistency in their social media right now. What do they have right now? How can we develop like maybe a small brand to help them keep going? Um, I'm in the process right now of creating brand kits that feel accessible, that include like social media templates, so that are encouraged for holistic businesses to be able to use, that feels semi-custom, that doesn't feel as large of an investment. And then additionally, I do custom energetic readings. So usually those custom energetic readings are like 8 to 12 pages of
Yep.
goodies where it dives so deep into you, yourself, any questions that you have. I always provide a tarot oracle reading at the end of them, but I really get into the human design, into the transits that are affecting you and how that can support your personal life along with your business. And then every month I do a monthly special. So usually those are discounted and really specific for the month that we're going through. And each one of those are unique. And I love doing them because they always offer an opportunity for people to find insight in so many different ways besides just giving them the standardized approach. So yeah, there's so many different ways to work with me. I'm most reachable on Instagram, through DMs. I have a link in my bio to, reach out and book an energetic reading with me, whether it's a call, an alignment call, or if you want to receive an in-depth PDF of everything. And I usually like to intertwine design into those energetic readings whenever I can. I just did love letters for a couple people, and those were absolutely my favorite because everything was just auditory messages from the universe that was delivered through design and with love. And I was truly just a messenger. And those did really, really well. So I'm excited to actually do those again, probably in May. Um, yeah. So I guess that's that in terms of like how
Yeah.
to reach me.
Yeah, your readings are amazing. I did an in-depth one with you before you left Colorado. And that's when I knew last year we were meant to move. And, we looked at moving to Portland, which is ironically where you ended up,
Right.
um, or North Carolina. And we ended up moving just to Colorado Springs from Monument. So not far by any means, but I just knew we were meant to move. And I had that, um, I don't know where it came. It was universal sign, whatever you believe in. Like something told me we were meant to move, so we focused in on that when we did my reading, and then I did your special reading in February too, which was magical. All right, Amanda. The question I ask every guest at the end of the show is, what is the fire that keeps you going when shit gets hard in your business?
Oh, I did not feel ready for an answer on this. Honestly, it's community for me.
Mm.
It's knowing that no matter what, I have safety within myself and I'm trusting in the divine timing of everything. But community is a really big one because they're always there to support you and hold you accountable. And I have so many design friends that I have met um, throughout my time on social media. I've never met them in person, but they have been such an incredible support where we can just like openly talk and be like, I am really struggling. I'm like in my luteal phase right now. I said I was going to be productive and I'm not, and all that stuff. And they're quite honestly the fire within me.
Mm.
I think that being able to do what I do and have such a co-creative experience, like there's no way I'd be able to have this business without the support of my family, my friends, and my community. And it's them that helps ignite that fire. It's them that reminds me of how valuable, how capable I am. And with from that reminder, I see that within myself and I see that growing every single day. So it's knowing that no matter what I accomplish in a day, even if it's not a lot, it's always the next step forward on my journey. And so I'm exactly where I need to be. I don't know if that's like the best answer in terms of what lights you up, but I definitely think that
Yeah.
that's something that lights me up. It's knowing that I have the space to feel all of that is the thing that really moves me through my business.
Yeah, I mean, community is everything to me. And like, I mean, I'm doing this International Women's Day feature on social media and newsletters right now, which is way more work than I was like, oh, I'm just going to feature some of my friends. And then 20 people responded. And then, this is where I'm more of like a manifesting generator, or I was like, oh, and I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to do a newsletter. And it was a little,
Yeah,
it's
they
been a
love their
little,
projects.
I'm like, where is this coming from? But it's been amazing. And I've gotten so many messages from people that are like, it's just amazing to see you not even talking about your business and just lifting up other people. Because I believe in my core, when we are all functioning on a higher level, the universe is better off. And like
Absolutely.
you, like you said earlier, there is no competition. I mean, I've become friends with another social media specialist in Monument named Jen, but there's no competition because the people that she aligns with and that need what she does aren't the same people that are going to align with me.
Mhm. Yeah,
And if anything, that gives me someone to refer to. So yes, community above all else. Then when shit gets hard, you have people to lean on, but you also have people to celebrate with too.
yeah.
You already mentioned Instagram, but give everybody your Instagram handle so they can go follow you, get in touch with you, get a reading, all the fun stuff.
Yep. So my Instagram handle is obviously at symbol the Bold Alchemist. And yeah, that's where you can find me. That's my primary social media, but I'm also on TikTok under the same and on Threads under the same and on Pinterest under the same.
Do you remember that week that we all discovered Threads? Because I had been on Threads, but I hadn't done
Oh my
anything. But
gosh, that was
Megs
crazy.
posted. Yeah, yeah. If you're not on, I still love Threads. It's gotten a little bit more political. That algorithm is interesting too, because I posted a thread bitching about my student loan company and being on hold with them for 7 hours. And for a couple days, my whole Threads feed was about student loans. And I was like, this is not what I want. So I had to
Yeah, that
retrain
algorithm
my
is
algorithm.
so intense. Like you can respond to one thing and all of a sudden your entire feed is just about that. And I was getting really tired of it because I definitely ended up on like the 10K a month feed. And I was like, listen, I
Mm.
love y'all. I support y'all. Because I started commenting. I'm like, I love this for you.
Yeah.
The entire feed became that. And I was like, okay, now this is getting a lot. But Threads is awesome because not only is it a place to connect with like other designers, but it's a wonderful place to meet up with other businesses. Like I have
Oh,
met so many holistic wellness businesses through Threads. And then on top of that, when I moved to Portland, I would make a comment and I would just hashtag and be like, "Oh, I'm in Portland. Like it's crazy. I did this move." And so many people would respond and be like, "You got to
yeah.
check this place out. You got to do this." And so it's Threads is just so much bigger than
Hmm.
I think any other social media platform in terms of like community. There's so much more reach, which
Yeah.
I find so
And I
fascinating.
I forget that. I posted like our I hate printers. I think like I like there's a joke about how about we go back to making 2D printers better instead of focusing on 3D because printers are terrible.
Oh
And I
yeah.
posted and I forgot that my Facebook would cross post to threads. And I posted like, what printer do you guys love? I'm ready to throw this thing out the window. I got a little bit of traction on Facebook, but threads is where it went wild. And this guy was like, well, you didn't even say what you need it for, how much you use it, because my Facebook people know me. And I was like, whoa, bro. Like, okay. But I got such better recommendations and feedback from threads. I also made a post that was like, I think I'm ready to start writing my book. And immediate, like, you got this, you got this. It's such a happy place on the internet overall.
It is. I think so. There's just so much support. Like you literally can share like a celebration, and I feel like there's never anybody to knock you down on that. Like they're there
Yeah.
to be like, "Oh my gosh, I love this for you. I'm here for this." And I just feel like especially in 2025 now, there's just been so much more support in like the small business community of really again, like it's not about being competitors or in competition with one
Mhm.
another. Again, like I also have friends that are in like the branding design community. Like they're also branding designers, but they do completely different branding design and their
Yeah.
experience is incredibly different. And at the end of the day, I think that it's just a place that feels very warm and welcoming.
Yeah. All right, Amanda. Anything else you want to share with the listeners today?
I think I'm good. But
Well, thank you. Hopefully we will, follow up and actually do some working sessions together because I missed your face. But for everyone listening, if you want to find out more about what I do as a creative strategist, or if you're interested in being on the podcast, you can find me on Instagram at Life Jen's Way, or my website is jensway.com. My email address is jen@jensway.com. Two N's on Jen always. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Amanda, for taking the time this afternoon and for doing a card pull for us. And I will see you all next time on Your Next Business Bestie. Have a great week.